Hey guys, Jexie here. Alright, so I wasn't actually going to talk about this, like, at all, even though a lot of you have been asking me to, but I don't know. I feel like maybe I should, especially given what's going on in my own life. So I'm going to talk about Eric. And this isn't going to be a bashing video. This isn't going to be, I don't know. I'm going to address it, even though it's really uncomfortable to do so. Okay, so as many of you know, Eric Zink, or Dr1ven Industries, has been on YouTube for a little while now. And he was called out for stuff, 9 months ago, by Gary Unfiltered. I think that's his channel name now. Or Bipolar Corner was his channel, by Leafy Greens, by other people for a variety of things. And I've spoken to Eric. And, I always try to think about people's intentions and but things have changed for me because his audience on TikTok, the audience that it's being alleged he took advantage of, is, the age group that my daughter's in. And my daughter falls into that vulnerable audience on TikTok, the audience that struggles with mental health, that is looking for help. And I think this whole thing's bothered me more because of that. Look, some of the things that bothered me about Eric and things that I have told him, right? I don't understand how, if you're in recovery, it's a really good idea to try different substances to tell people how they feel, right? Like, he did this whole series recently about, like, trying different types of kratom. And I think, personally, it's not really the best message to send to anybody that, like, being in recovery, it's a safe idea to try these other substances. Do I think you can't be on kratom in recovery? No. I mean, I wouldn't, but I don't judge people based on how they do their recovery, right? But that in itself kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why are you trying these other substances when you're in recovery? Like, I just didn't understand it. But again, I'm not judging people, like, to each their own. He grew a huge following on TikTok, and I know he was very excited about it. And, look, I think it's great. I think it's great as a creator if you are able to grow your audience. The one thing that a lot of us were concerned about, and things that we had spoken to him directly about, were the fact that at the beginning he was giving out his phone number because he said that the suicide hotline had too long of a wait and that people shouldn't have to wait and they should be able to call somebody and get an answer when they need help. And he thought that that person should be him. Now, do I think that's a good idea? No, on lots of levels. I've given out my phone number to plenty of people, and I do my best to pick it up. But I also know that there is no way that I could answer my phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, immediately. As you grow your audience, you have to expect that you're going to get more and more phone calls. And I know there was a period of time that he was getting overwhelmed with calls and texts, that he wasn't able to answer immediately, but he was still kind of criticizing hotlines for having hold time. And the thought was that's, like, dangerous, right? Like, it's dangerous if you're telling, especially on TikTok. Like, look, are there adults on TikTok? Sure. But, like, we all know that the majority of people pre-COVID, because since COVID, there's been a huge influx of adults, but this was pre-COVID, to tell young, vulnerable people that instead of calling the hotline, to call him. And I don't think it's generally in good practice as an adult to encourage children to call. And I'd like to think that his motives were pure, because thinking that I was associated with somebody in any way that would be inappropriate to children is not something I even want to consider. But my daughter currently is struggling, and she's really struggling, and I think about people like her who are very active on TikTok, seeing videos like his, and reaching out and being ignored or being talked to in a way that is not appropriate. And yesterday I was just curious, because there's not a whole lot of people on YouTube really talking about it, but that's because the harm wasn't being done to people on YouTube. And I'm seeing these TikToks of young kids who are like devastated to find out that somebody they've looked up to for help has these allegations. And these kids are fragile. I know I live with one. And just see that, like, broke me. Like, if you don't have a fragile teenager at home, it's very hard to understand what that's like. They're already walking on the edge every day. And if they find somebody that is giving them some type of hope, I mean, that's great. But to have that shattered and fall apart when they often feel like their whole world's already falling apart. And again, I don't want to be making any allegations or saying anything because, look, I don't know. I've seen what I've seen. And, there's not a whole lot to say about it, but, you guys, a lot of you asked me to talk about it, and I wasn't going to. But with what's going on with my daughter, which maybe I'll talk about in another video, this situation's bothered me a lot more. And, I don't know. I'm glad that there are legitimate therapists and people on TikTok that are helping these kids, because I don't, watching the pain that a lot of these kids go through is a lot. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch as a parent. But I don't know. I wish I had more to say. I wish I could say, like, I really thought he had these good intentions, and maybe he did, and things got out of hand. Maybe he didn't understand what he was doing is wrong. But, like, you're a grown-up, and you need to have boundaries. And if talking to young children on TikTok inappropriately is not crossing a line, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to post this. But it's hard. It's hard to see. It's hard to see other kids who are struggling like my kid. And I don't know.